This tutorial is going to show you how to create drop-down menus in Excel. So go ahead and click where you want your drop-down menu, and then you're going to go to the Data tab, and then you're going to go to Data Validation. And it might look a little different. Mine is a condensed screen, so it doesn't have the words, but if I hover over it, it will show me that this is the Data Validation icon. And I have three different tabs. The first one, we're going to go to Settings, and we're going to say List. And there are three different ways to do this. So if I want a list where it's case sensitive and it has to be typed exactly correctly, then I'm going to type in my list separated by commas. For example, and click OK. And actually, I don't want a space, I just want a comma there. Otherwise, I'll have a space in front of the M in the drop-down. And you'll see now that I have a drop-down here. And if people start typing in without a capital letter, it will throw an error, because it does require, with this type of a list, that everything be typed in exactly. So let's try a different way of creating a drop-down. So in this next one, you do have to have your list of items typed up ahead of time. So here I've got it typed up and I have it on a separate sheet. That way it doesn't get in the way of where I'm going to put my drop-down. So again, I click where I want my drop-down, I go to the Data tab and the Data Validation area. I pull down to List, but instead of typing the list, I'm going to click in the source and go to the list for the drop-downs and highlight the list, and you'll see that it's all in here and it has the cell references, and I click OK, and now those items show up here, but they won't be case sensitive. If I type in Patrol Mountain now, it will hold even though it is typed with capital letters. I won't get an error. There's one final way to do this, and in this one, but I will say, if I tried to type in Patrol Mountain, I'd still get an error because it wasn't spelled exactly the way that it was input. It's just not case sensitive. So then the last one also involves putting a list in a different area. And again, it's Data Validation under the Data tab. And it's a list again. And my source, though, is going to come from this one. And in this case, I have done a named reference, a named cell reference. So when I highlighted these, I typed in a name up here for it. And when I do that, it now says hikes, and I say OK. And I could also have typed in an F3 to bring up any named references. When I use this named reference and I typed in Patrol Mountain, again, it's not going to throw an error message if I don't capitalize these. Let's take a look at one more area here in the Data Validation, and that's going to be your input message. So you could type up some directions here and type in what you want, and the error, you can either show an error alert and stop them, or just give a warning or give them information on what they should be choosing for their drop-down. So you can give information, be sure to put MT at end of name, or whatever information you want to give. Now you can see the directions here. And if I tried to type in Patrol Mountain, be sure to MT at end of name. So instead of mountain, it needs to be MT. So Notice that since this was a named reference, I could bypass that error and still leave that in there. So I hope that helped you create some drop downs with the various versions.